Hello, my friends, and I am glad you're here with us today at the Daniel Hendrick Experience. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with us. Today, we have a very special guest, a very good friend of mine, a tenor from Tijuana, Baja California, by the name of Jose Medina. We competed against each other many, many years ago, and he always kicked my butt. And the guy just had a gorgeous instrument, a very high, floating, beautiful tenor voice. And he's sung all over the world in theaters in Germany, Austria, Italy, Switzerland, Spain, Slovenia, Australia, Guatemala, etc., everywhere in the world. Sung at New York City Opera, where I made my debut. In the Frankfurt, he sung the Liederhalle in Stuttgart, the Gestadt Festival, the Chicago Lyric, the Florentine Opera. He has sung pretty much anywhere an opera singer can sing in the world. And I'm super glad to have my good buddy. He was from Tijuana back in the day. He's still from Tijuana, and I was from San Diego, so we would always run into each other in New York or wherever doing auditions. And I'm overjoyed to call him my friend and my brother, and very glad to have him on the show today. So without any further ado, my friends, let's bring in my good buddy, Jose Medina.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, the legend is with us here.
What a legend. What are you talking about? Thank you so much, my Danny, for having me. It is such a, I was telling a friend yesterday about we go a long time, and I remember how much I admire you when you were doing things, and our time in New York. While I was doing Comprimaris, you were doing Boitos Mephistopheles. It was great. I used to call Jane, my teacher, and say, "Hey, listen, here's Danny Henrik doing wonderful." Anyway, it's great to be here and hear from you every time we see each other. It's very una emoción.
Igualmente, brother. Gracias por tu presencia.
No, gracias por invitarme. So happy.
So I told you we're moving to San Miguel de Allende.
Yeah, what a beautiful place. And they have this wonderful company there, the competition and all the singers that are doing great
Really?
there.
Okay, well, maybe I can get involved with the opera scene there too.
Sure, I'll give you the information of some friends that are there that are wonderful people. So that'll be great. Thank you, Danny. It's a wonderful presentation. I want to take you as a PR for all everywhere I go. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, my friend. Well, I was thinking so excited when you were coming on today about the competitions that we did with each other, and you used to always kick my butt in those. You was always first, and I was second or third. So
I thought it was the opposite. I think we did some. Yeah, but it was great to compete with such a great artist and a wonderful friend and a brother for me, because I have to say this. I learned a lot of stuff from you, listening to you and following you. Your phrasing, my goodness, I remember that Lamento di Federico. I thought, this guy's gonna win, and you did. You did. It
oh,
was fantastic.
I love that aria. That was one of my go-to arias for audition pieces. What was like your go-to aria for audition pieces?
Well, at the time, Mrs. Westbrook, my teacher and friend and mentor, said to me, "Why don't we work on something like bel cantish with high notes?" And it was the daughter of the regiment. And I say, "Mrs. Westbrook, this is impossible to sing." But I was coached well, and that was my area. Besides
Yes.
the other areas like Barbara Seville and Rosencavalier, that was a tough one too.
Ooh.
But those were the, the ones that really put me in a certain interesting places to go
Yes.
on. Yeah.
And for those folks out there that don't know, when he mentions the daughter of the regiment aria, the reason that is so difficult for tenors. It has 9 high C's in it. And back in the day when you were doing it, there were very few people that could do that. And you were just like really acclaimed for those incredible high C's that you were
And
singing.
I had the opportunity to do the productions with that role. It was so much fun. It's funny because it has two areas. Well, it's a lot of music, but two important areas for the tenor. And the second one is not as high as this one that we're talking about, but it's much more difficult because the legato. But all of that gave me the opportunity to really study deep and coach and the French and all of that. So yeah, it was a good time. I cannot sing it right now, even if I put my fingers in the light. But it was fun times, really.
Those were the days, my friends, we thought they'd never end.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That was beautiful. Well, if you can, tell our listeners how you got started in this whole opera thing. Were you
Well,
like a lot of Mexican tenors that started with the mariachi thing, or what was your
more or
equation?
less, my father and all my father's family were musicians. So I listened to old recordings, singing nonsense, along with Caruso or Gili, while my father was studying. My father was an arranger and a saxophone player. He was studying, and then he would stop and then put my my grandfather's recordings, 78, or I remember those big ones. You can kill somebody with those records.
Yes.
And it was, Mario del Monaco, stuff like that I will just follow. Then I started playing the piano. I don't remember when. My memories go to 6 or 7 years old, and I started for serious the piano.
Okay.
That and that was it. I couldn't do anything well except music. So,
Yo
and my
también.
so I started lessons with my father, and then they sent me to Guadalajara to do the bachelor's in music, diploma in music. Then I went to Mexico City Conservatory, studying only singing. My father said, "Are you crazy? You're a pianist. What are you doing? Trying to sing opera?" That was for fun. It is still fun, but I will take singing as a major.
Mm.
And he couldn't believe it. But things started to go well, and then I got good coaching and good scholarships and competitions. Then I went back to the United States where we met, and then a lot of study, a lot of concentration, a lot of
Hmm.
nervousy, but a lot of excitement too. So things went well for some time.
Wow. And who was, if there was, I know that you know that Mario Lanza was the tenor that made me want to become an opera
Yeah, yeah,
singer.
yeah, yeah.
Did you have a guy like that?
Yeah, well, on the recordings, when I really started to listen and not just repeating like a parrot, the one who really moved, like we say in Spanish, me movió el tapete, was Giuseppe Di Stefano. Di Stefano, and then later on, uh, Bjorling. And then you start listening to old recordings
Mm.
or new recordings. Of course, Pavarotti, has no comparison, but Corelli, for example.
Woo.
Yeah, but the first one who really smacked me in the face was Di Stefano. What a man! What an artist!
Yes. He
Phrases like nobody.
well, when you were telling me about the phrasing in Lamento di Federico, that's where I
Yeah.
learned it because he was my teacher at the time.
Wow.
Di
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Stefano.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What an artist, and he was crazy. It
he
had to
was
be.
he was a gambler and
Mm.
yeah, he was a crazy guy.
He will close the casino in Barcelona
Mm.
after being one of the judges for the Viñas. They have to put him out smoking cigars.
Cigars.
My
Yes.
goodness. But,
Yeah.
a big one.
Yes.
one of a
And
kind.
his diminuendo that he had on these high seas, like on the Faust aria, unbelievable.
It's historical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now guys seem to be doing that all the time these days, but back then it was
it was almost impossible, but he did it, and he did it wonderful. So anyway, that was the one for me.
amazing. Well, what was your favorite opera house to sing at over the years? You've been in so very many.
Well, I had a great time, uh, probably in the opera in Frankfurt, even though it's modern, because I sang in many, like Richard Boning say, once this is another story. This maestro is a lot of dust in the theater. Well, get used to, my friend, because all the old theaters in Europe are dusty. So just get along. And Frankfurt is the Alte Oper is a modern theater. They renew it, and it has this amazing stage where there's six platforms that go uh, uh, down and up. It was amazing, because, but all of the theaters in Italy, the traditional ones, and beautiful theaters in Siena or in Spain, Teatro Cervantes or Barcelona, all of those are wonderful. It's the same happened to me because remember, the State Theater at Lincoln Center was, a nice theater
Mm-hmm.
that you could sing in a big one. It's
Big.
spectacular, modern. But I felt so much, so wonderful at when yeah, maybe because I'm a Tijuanian, but I did the Mozart Festival at Lincoln Center at the Alice Tully, and you know what? It was so magical. Maybe because the
Mm.
music, because the conductor. It depends on where you put your feet. Those things. But
Yes.
yeah, there's so many. I have good memories too in Switzerland at the Gestats Festival with Yehudi Menuhin. It was, what an experience. I had a great
Mm.
time. But those are the ones. Of course, the Mexican ones, El Degollado in Guadalajara, it's monumental. Bellas Artes, of course.
Mm.
Yeah, all
Very
of those
good.
are great memories.
You
The
know,
uh, the Lieder Halle in Stuttgart is gorgeous theater too. So anyway,
Sam. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, there's an example of what I mean. Look at all of the places this guy has sung and what a career. So you did all of that, singing all around the world, and at the same time, you had time to write songs as well, which I'm sure is a passion of your heart as well.
oh yes, it was sort of escape at the time. Now that I'm in the other side of the 50s, almost 60s.
Uh huh.
I take more time to write, but I was so fortunate of so many people said, "Oh, let me hear what you wrote," and then I will send the pieces that Fernando de la Mora, remember,
Yes.
he recorded some of my songs,
A
and then
great tenor. Great tenor.
one day, yeah, and we're a great friend too. He's spectacular. One day he called me and say, "Gordo," that's what he called me, of course.
Okay.
"What's up?" And I say, "I'm doing an Ave Maria, uh, a concert of all Ave Marias." "Oh, that's great! Sounds wonderful." It was Christmas time, so. But I'm going to send you the ad for the radio and say, and we will hear Schubert's Ave Maria, Gounod's Ave Maria, Caccini's Ave Maria, Jose Medina's Ave Maria.
Woo!
I say,
No
"Well,
me digas.
it sounded like a joke." But yeah, I included it and it was I was so glad. Those experiences. No,
Wow.
no, it's not gonna go as well as the others, but at least
Well, you're
it
very
was so much
humble.
fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also he includes a song that I wrote in his concerts, and he sends me the videos. Encarnacion Vasquez has sung. In Spain, it was Mariano Viñuales who sang a piece that I wrote for chorus and a bass. Some of them, and
Excellent.
all of this, it came more serious when I started doing the opera and the chorus, and it was a children's chorus. So I started writing little pieces for the festivals and to promote the music. You know how difficult. I love my Tijuana. It's my city. The city of it's my city. I was born and raised here, but it's a kind of a difficult city.
Mm-hmm.
Being in the border and so in culture, music and art is going to save a city like this. And so far, it's been very responsive. We have good audiences and
Excellent.
good many talents.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of great singers have come out of there. And
Oh
also,
yeah.
Tijuana has become internationally known for its cuisine now too. The food there is
Oh,
incredible.
that fusion cuisine is being all over, and I'm the proof of it. Look at me.
Me too, brother. Matter of fact, I saw you in one of those restaurants down there in
Oh yes,
Tijuana one
right,
night.
that's right.
Remember? That was great. Folks, for those of you that don't know, my wife, Pilar Montaño, was also a Tijuanese, I guess they call it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Beautiful woman.
Yes. She's looking forward to opening her new art studio in San Miguel de Allende. So,
That would be great.
uh,
Yeah, that's true. That San Miguel is famous for the artists that come, and it's a beautiful place. You'll do well there. You'll love it.
I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you come down because we hope to open an art restaurant, opera restaurant, you know?
Wow. Yeah, yeah, of course. It'll be fun, of course. I'll be happy.
So, anyhow, that's the plans that we have going on. So, tell us how you got into going from international opera star to deciding to start an opera company in Tijuana.
Well, it was little by little. Because I already in the at the late 90s, I would come back and do some recitals. My mother always had me, the wedding of the and my mother, I come, come on vacation. So anyway, so after two or three times that I came and did something, and I started to think, why not do a workshop? So that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
98 was a workshop at La Casa de la Cultura because there was already Marco Labastida, Monica Abrego, Cesar Sanchez, beautiful voices. So we did this workshop, and at the end we did this. They wanted to do a concert, and said, "No, let's do scenes from operas." So
Yes.
that's what we prepared. And after that was a big boom. With Teresa Riquet, we started working together, and by the year 2000, we established it as Opera de Tijuana. And of course,
Wow.
I had a lot of help from friends, and they loved the fact of having there was already the orchestra, so we invited them, and then we did for the first time Bohème,
Wow.
and it went well. It went
And
well. Elixir too, and from then, it's been a roller coaster, as you know. But here we are trying to push that.
and for those of you folks around the world that don't know, they have, what do you call it? Opera in the streets there, or where you
Yeah,
do,
Festival
what
Opera en
is
la
that?
Calle. Well, it's a big street on the one of the most the oldest areas of Tijuana, Colonia Libertad. It's a big street, and we close the street, and we mount a big, wonderful stage, and there's 12 hours of music,
Oh,
choruses and opera and scenes, and we have people from San Diego Opera come and do an hour program, or Walter Dumel.
mm-hmm.
Remember Walter?
Yes.
He's got the Body 3 concerts, and people from Ensenada and all of the companies are groups here in Tijuana.
Wow. Salvador
So
Padilla sings with you a lot too, right?
my goodness, he's so much fun to work with.
Isn't he?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
full of life.
oh yes, he's always adding things, and he's all happiness and music.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he loves you. He's great, great,
Yes.
great guy.
He is probably the easiest person I have ever worked with in my life.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I have so many stories with him. Once we did Ninth Symphony at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in L.A., and it was Lalo Schifrin conducting. It was a I don't know a 200-piece chorus, but the baritone got sick. And Schifrin, as you know, he's Argentinian, and he comes and says, "Jose, we lost the baritone. We need somebody." And I called El Salvador. I have a friend who's just came from Spain. He's from Chihuahua, of course, but he studied in Spain and he stayed there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows it. I didn't know if he knew it, but he sort of did. And he came and he did. Oh my goodness, he did one. Wow. And then we were rehearsing and he said, "Jose, you know the way he talks.
Yeah.
You see
Then he.
who's there? Who's there? Subin Meta."
Zubin
It was
Mehta was
Meta.
there.
Yeah, Subin Meta was listening to the our rehearsal because he had to meet with Lalo Schifrin for the three tenor concert arrangements. So of course we went to say hello, and my Fuji carton camera didn't work.
Oh my God.
But that's Salvador.
Wow. And that was at the
And he did
Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, right? In LA?
yeah, we did the Ninth Symphony there with them in great times too. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. You know, I have seen advertisements around in different places about merging mariachi with opera. Do you know about that?
Oh yeah, San Diego Opera already did a production with the La Luna, I believe it's called, and it's very, very enjoyable, I would say. For the purist, of course, it doesn't work. But
Right.
for somebody who appreciates the right mariachi music, the fusion is very interesting. I really recommend it to listen to it and decide.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first impression is what are they doing?
I understand, right? With all
But
new
once you
things, right?
hear it kind of the fusion is kind of interesting,
Sure.
and yeah, it's worth to listen,
Yeah.
really.
I kind of like the fusion stuff at least one time.
Yeah. It's just to
maybe
say,
maybe just to
just
hear
to
it.
decide if you really like it or not.
Exactly. Very very cool. Well, years ago I did a fusion of like an album of rock opera stuff.
I really, yeah, that's right.
And my opera colleagues weren't too fond of me doing that. But as a composer, I'm like,
Yeah,
I want to express myself with something different,
sure,
right?
sure. Yeah, and see if something works and it comes from the heart. Why
Yes.
not? It just you have to share it.
Exactly. Um, I was going to ask you about in Mexico, it seems like tenor wise, they are dominating the world in opera these days. Do you have an
Well,
ex?
it is. We have a school of good tenors since Araiza
Yes.
to the update. There's been many good tenors that are doing well. Vargas, Araiza, Camarena, De La Mora, Portilla,
Yes.
Duval. All of these are wonderful tenors. Yeah.
You know, I was singing Butterfly at City Opera, and Portilla was singing La Boheme.
Oh yeah.
And I just loved his voice, the beauty of his tone. He was this young tenor. So I asked him, hey, can I go into your rehearsals and just listen? You know how it is when you find a voice that just kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, You wanted to identify, of course.
And I just sat in the rehearsal rooms there at City Opera and listened to the beauty of this guy singing. So fluent,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
free. Uh, do you think it's the mariachi guys growing up hearing mariachi in that style that's leading to these great tenors, or what is
Well,
it?
Portilla's case is another very interesting because his father was one of the dramatic tenors of Bellas Artes of his time, David Portilla. When I was at the conservatory, I would come and see him doing a
Wow.
humongous calaf. But in the other side, he had not a mariachi, but I think it was a quartet of Mexican music, a bravillo music. So he comes from that type of school.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's got it in the blood.
Uh huh. um, you also have a school there for young singers in Tijuana now, right? Like a
Yeah,
workshop.
well, it's more like practice because everyone has their own teachers, their own schools, and
Yes.
we gather. This is called Ensamble Lírico Juvenil, and they gather and they do music and they do scenes, they do zarzuela, musicals, and all kind of type of music, so they can get interested in communicate. That's what most important for me. So sometimes
Mm,
they have these wonderful talents, but they just do it like this instead of trying to communicate, to connect with an audience. All of those little things that makes an artist, but they have to discover through
yes.
exercises and motivation and
Mm-hmm.
based on the practice on the stage. So yeah, it is being fun. It's being fun.
Excellent. Well, I have a recording here of you singing El Día que Me Quieres. Can you tell us about where this is at and what you were doing?
Yeah, I was on one of the another of the wonderful invitations of Maestro Lalo Schifrin to his tribute in Slovenia. And I have to
Okay.
tell you, when they called me and said, "You're singing in Slovenia," my goodness, it sounded at the time sounded like Bosnia or something, some dangerous place. My God, it's a beautiful place. It's the old Yugoslavia, beautiful place, beautiful theaters. So we did this tribute. Actually, the song is by Gardel, by Carlos Gardel,
Yes.
but the arrangement was made for the movie Tango by Saura,
Mm.
and the
Mm.
arrangements are from Maestro Lalo Schifrin. So he said to, I want you to sing this because I want you to think of like if it was an art song. So that's the intention,
Mm.
and
Okay.
I had a great time with him. He really embroidered conducting there.
All right. All right, my friends, here we go. Let's listen to this.
Acaricia mi ensueño el suave murmullo de tu suspirar. Como ríe la vida si tus ojos negros me quieren mirar. Y si es mi buen amparo de tu risa leve, que es como un cantar, ella quieta mi herida, todo se olvida. quiera la rosa que engalana se vestirá de fiesta con su mejor color. Al viento las campanas dirán que ya eres mía, y locas las fontanas se contarán su amor. La noche que me quieras, desde el azul del cielo, las estrellas celosas nos mirarán pasar, y un rayo misterioso árido en tu pelo, luciérnaga curiosa, eres mi consuelo. La noche que me quieras, desde el azul del cielo, las estrellas celosas nos mirarán pasar, y un rayo misterioso árido en tu pelo, luciérnaga curiosa, eres mi
Wow, what a mezza voce on the end there. Di Stefano would be very proud of you with that.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Absolutamente. Yeah, he used to do that kind of effect on the end of Parlami d'amore Mariu.
Yeah. Those little pianissimo that are so enjoyable.
Absolutamente. Wow, what a beautiful voice and beautiful career. That's amazing. Are you teaching voice now there as well in
Well,
Tijuana?
I did for a long time, but I realized that you have to be like a doctor when there's talent. You have to be with them and then talk to them and discover, try to make them to discover. So right now I'm just sort of advising people who's making it, and but lessons I don't do for a while. I think I will stop, and I do like musical advisor and repertoire with the people. So many that came out, they come back, and then we see some repertoire and some phrasing, and sort of a coaching.
A coach, okay,
Yeah.
Excellent.
Instead of the voice trainer, because that takes time, and that takes so much devotion time. So now I'm doing that besides the other things that I try to do.
So these up and coming singers that now are have gone through the college stage, or they're winning a few competitions and they're wanting to go to that next step to be singing internationally? What kind of advice can you give to them?
Well, to be patient, because and never stop studying and researching. For me, it was a big thing to have in my life, Jane Westbrook, because she taught me how to enjoy study.
Mm.
So many students, and I have to study. Well, if you suffer when you study what you must love, you do something else. we,
Yes.
you know, we,
Yes.
we all do that at certain time. So that's why I'm trying to teach them and let them know that it's so much to learn, the style, the period where you're singing, in every word, in every language, and the phrasing and the enjoying. How do you turn, your gestures, and how to invent and create a
Yes.
character in the period that you're singing. So that makes all of that fantasy that we have as performers goes for real. You know.
Yes.
So now, okay, you're ready to do Demi Volenti Spirit. So where are you? Who are you thinking of? See, how are you dressed and how do you gesture? All of that gives them that fantasy that in coaching, and along with the study and the technique and the development of the voices. But by
Yes.
the time they can do it or they can audition, they have that notion. I wish we had more of that in our time, because
Yes.
uh, now it is a lot of workshops and places that.
Yes.
Anyway, all of that is an experience.
Well, now we're hearing the side of you that is the Jose Medina director guy that directs operas around the world too. How about that? How did you start doing that?
Well, it started as a curiosity. When I was in Mexico City, I was the student of Irma Gonzalez, one of the most celebrated sopranos of the, I don't know, 60s at Pegas Artes. And she said to me, well, we were going to do the scenes, but everyone is going to try to add something as like you were the stage directors. So whenever you face a stage director, you know how to tell. And that, push you
Mm.
to really research and investigate. And then I liked it. I liked it so much. So I say, that's what I'm going to do when I retire. But I started much before. Of course, when I decided to really take it serious, I went back to Germany and meet so many times. I cannot say that I studied with him, but I learned a lot from him. Peter Lund, wonderful, is theater and movies director in
Mm.
Germany, which I worked with him in different productions in Braunschweig. And then he say, well, of course, yeah. And then he advised me, and I would write everything he would say, and that was one of my big advisors. Then I
Wow.
worked with Juan Ibanez in Mexico, which he was again too. He was some genius in theater, opera, and movies. I worked with him and I learned from him in Italy from Rocco Pugliese, who I did my one and only Rigoletto.
Okay.
He gave me the opportunity because is this like this? I think you will be a wonderful Duke because you're in need to do a villain.
Wow. That's
So we did it.
great.
We did it in Pamplona at the Gallardo Theater, which is a jewel. It's
Okay.
beautiful.
Yes.
And then that was my one and only Duke of Mantova in Rigoletto. Then I went back
Wow.
to my Rossinis and Bellinis and Donizettis.
Yeah. Well, nothing wrong with that, right? That's beautiful
Nothing
work.
wrong. Oh, no, no, no. I had so much fun. But the stage director, the direction, it started like that. And then I did the company here, which was still not a big thing, but it being developing and doing interesting things. It depends of the help of the empresarios or the government. but it's been 23 years already. And then they invited
Amazing.
me to I don't remember. I don't know if you remember Francesco Pace in Miami, in Florida.
No, I
He
don't.
had this company, the South Florida Opera, who will give opportunity to so many singers. Anyway,
Mm.
he hired me to do several things, and I did Tosca there. I was to do Norma the following year, but he died.
Ah,
Oh
okay.
my goodness, it was terrible. But and then when a general director is taken from his desk or dies, it's the entire change. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
But I had that opportunity besides Tijuana. Then they invite me to Costa Rica, which is I would say, my second Latin home. I love it, and I did there several things like Tosca again, Nabucco, great production of Nabucco,
Wow.
and then since I had worked so much in Italy, somebody got interested in my friend Paolo Antonucci recommended me for so they were looking for a stage director for Bohème. They called me. I went there. I had a great time.
Mm.
Not the first 3 days, I would tell you, Danny.
Okay.
Directing Italian opera in an Italian theater in Italian with Italians. My goodness! But it took me, me 3 4 days of getting acquainted, and no, by the third, fourth day, I was,
Wow.
in the pause, I was sitting in the floor eating pizza with all the guys. So we had a great time.
Great.
And since then, I've been back to do this Bohème, Cavalleria Rusticana, Barbaro Seville, and then in 2024, I will direct Elixir of Love. So things are coming out
Bravo.
good.
Good
In
for you.
the land of the opera, who would have said? My goodness.
Exactly.
I,
So,
I've been very fortunate. I cannot deny that.
yes, you've had an incredible career and still a great career. So, how can people around the world, if they would like to help you there at the Tijuana Opera, how can they reach out and help you in some
Well,
way?
there's it's all over Opera Fundación Opera de Tijuana. It is www.opera de Tijuana. It is Facebook and how do you call the channels in over the net.
Oh, okay.
And
So
that
there's
would
like a
be one.
there's a foundation that sponsors you. Is that the idea? And you can.
Well, we call it foundation because that's the better way to deal with all of all of the responsibilities,
Uh huh.
in the when you have to prove every deposit that they give you. So calling Opera Tijuana a foundation gives them a presence for the you
Texas.
know taxes and all
Mm-hmm.
all of the expenses.
Sure.
So that instead of a private thing that it's just non-profit, all of
Yes.
that is a political thing, but it's been working well. We just finished the festival, and it was really good. We finished with the Elixir of Love and my version of Black and White Elixir of Love.
Wow.
It was so much.
Excellent. You are
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
creative. Yes.
Oh well, you have to do, the tradition, but with a little brush of something different, so people can see something different
Of
and
course.
feel something different. Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
very good. And Maestro Sorichetti, Alfredo Sorichetti, came to do some master classes to the young people, and he conducted. So we were very happy with him. He's a genius. He's in Salzburg right now, and he was
Wow.
in DJ.
There you go. Hey, TJ is not the Tijuana of old. It is growing up on so many
Oh yeah.
levels.
He sends me messages. Hey, Jose, I just miss the suadero tacos.
Ah, yes, yes.
Yeah, it's a great guy. Wonderful
How
musician.
awesome. And I miss Tacos El Gordo because I'm here in Phoenix.
Oh
So,
yeah. They have all kinds of tacos there. My God, I'm gonna go to the Gordo and say, hey, listen, we need 10% because we're being doing your publicity.
there you go, right? Well, folks, for those of you who would like to give to a cause that is really uplifting a community, I would really recommend that you go and look for this foundation for Tijuana Opera and maybe assist them in some way financially. You would really be helping a great cause because they are breeding a lot of great singers and uplifting the community at the same time by bringing beautiful opera to the
Yeah, it's
community.
bringing some joy to the population, and more and more people join us. But it's true, money is needed because it's a lot of work, a lot of little details. So uh, let us welcome you to the family.
There you go. Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this interview with my good friend Jose Medina, who I have tons of respect for, not only as a great tenor, but director and composer. And I thank you, my brother, for being with me today. And
Thank
for
you. It was a pleasure as always, my Danny. It has been always such joy to see you and to see the wonderful things that you create and what you give. It's wonderful. Yeah, it
well,
is true.
speaking of creations, for those of you who have heard about my book of my life story, you can go to
Wow, great.
my website, danielhendrick.com, and it'll lead you to Amazon where you can get a copy of my book. It's called Know You Know. And this talks about my story early in my career of losing my voice, getting something they call spasmodic dysphonia, which means you lose your voice, and then taking 8 years to get it back before I made my debut at Lincoln Center. So go to
Mhm.
danielhendrick.com, my friends, and pick that up. And ladies and gentlemen, hope to see you every Sunday right here on the Daniel Hendrick Experience. Thanks for being with us today. Ciao.
Acaricia mi ensueño el suave murmullo de tu suspirar, como ríe la vida.
Take a breath and walk with me.